Yeah, all right, so we're live. Hey, everybody, it's Ted with The Ted Show. Today is November 28th, Tuesday, November 28th. Welcome to the show, and my guest today is Alan Gooch, who a lot of people lovingly refer to as Coach. We'll have to get into that in a little bit. So we've got a like, so let us know that you can hear us and see us, and that's sort of why I'm looking at the computer. I know you guys yell at me on a daily basis because I'm not paying attention to Alan. Alan's fine. He doesn't need to be paid attention to. But, okay, Kimber's here, so just let us know that you can hear us. I appreciate that. Alan, there's a whole bunch of reasons why you're here today, but hey, Anna, hey, Kimber. Okay, they can hear us loud and clear.
Great.
All right, so welcome, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Ted.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you for doing this crazy time at 3 o'clock. I kind of like it. It gave me a whole afternoon to get work done. But Alan and I met because of Scott Rose, right?
We did. Scott Rose, one of our starring board members.
Scott Rose is amazing.
And a Sigma Chi.
He's a Sigma Chi, and my alumni little brother. I love him to death. Hey, Jerry. And one of the first meetings we ever had, you might not remember, but we were talking about a Zaxby's franchise. Do you remember that?
We were. I do remember that.
God, that was pre-2008. I love those years. Great chicken sandwich, but they finally did build over at Millennium.
They did.
It's amazing.
They did do it.
So that's a whole nother lifetime, and we're not necessarily here to talk about that, but that was my first introduction to Alan, and he's put up with me over the years at the Citrus Club mostly. But thank you. Thanks for coming.
Appreciate having me.
So talk about you a little bit. Give us history. You are a big UCF guy and a big football guy, so give them a little bit of your background.
Well, yeah, I'm actually a Clearwater guy coming out, but came over here to go to school in 1981 to go to school mostly to play
FTU
football.
Then, or
it was UCF.
Oh, it
but,
was UCF.
Not too many years far removed from FTU. I think it was 1979 that then President
Colburn,
Trevor
I
Colburn
remember
decided
him. I loved him.
Change the name to UCF, mostly because of Disney's influence.
Yes.
And have a football team. So that all started in 1979, and I'll never forget getting a call. A lot of people think I came to school here first, but I was actually in a smaller school, Division II school in Kansas out of Clearwater, and I got the call from my mom, hey, they're changing the name of FTU to UCF, and they're starting football. And so I said, great, let me come get out of the cold and come home. And so I transferred here and never left. I had the opportunity to meet my wife here. And,
Lisa.
Lisa.
But
we could call her Linda. Lisa.
Actually, I've called her Lisa 1,000 times, and she's just hugged me.
Yeah, sure.
She's amazing. She's the UCF cheerleading coach.
She is.
She's
Two-time
awesome.
national champ.
They did a whole show on her, which we should have her on the show.
You should have her instead
I
of
would
me.
love to have Linda on the show.
If you really want to have the real Coach Gooch, that's her, yeah.
What was that show on? It was amazing. My kids watched.
It was a Women's
yeah.
Entertainment.
Oh my God, it was awesome.
Yeah,
all right, so back to you. I'm sorry, I'm taking away your steam here.
So got here to UCF. Had a great opportunity to play under the first head coach here at UCF, Don Jonas, and then Lou Saban. No relation to Nick Saban, but Lou coached O.J. Simpson.
That's
with
right.
The Buffalo Bills
yes,
back in the day when he
yeah.
had 2,000 yards and. So Lou Saban is the coach that gave me my first coaching job here at UCF. I was a graduate assistant under him, and then a full-time assistant under Gene McDowell when he came from Florida State.
Coach McDowell, I forgot about that.
And then Coach McDowell resigned after taking our program through 10 straight years of winning. You know, Coach McDowell, in my opinion, the program was in debt, and he did a great job of bringing.
He did an amazing job.
He did, and we always competed, whether we were Division II, 1AA, or 1A. It was a growing process, and he was just a huge factor. His relationships there were big.
And you stayed.
Stayed, and then Mike Kruzik became the head coach after Coach McDowell had left. I was his assistant head coach. And then
hence the nickname Coach.
There you go. So 25 years later, I'm finally done coaching, and I am working in commercial real estate. And I get a call.
Is that what you do? I'm kidding.
I do a little bit of that. That was the Zaxby's thing. But I'm just kind of minding my own business out of college football, and I get a call from Mac McLaughlin. There was a group of guys that were listening to then athletic director Keith Tribble talk about the fact that ESPN had called him and said, hey, we think that Orlando could handle another bowl in this market. And Keith Tribble, before he came to the UCF, was the CEO of the Orange Bowl, so it was obviously smart of ESPN to reach out to him and say, hey, what do you think? And they wanted to have the game on campus at UCF, and Keith was delivering that information to a group of board members that were there, Matt McLaughlin being one, Scott Rose, John Rhodes. There was a group of guys that were all there listening to Keith Tribble, and they were actually getting the story how the bowl game wasn't going to happen. Another reason for UCF Knights not to like South Florida is the fact that ESPN had told Keith Tribble that the game was supposed to be between Conference USA, UCF, and then Big East team, which would be South Florida. And South Florida said, no, we're not interested in having a bowl game over at UCF, so just another reason.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that game actually became the St. Pete Bowl and Beef O'Brady's. That group of individuals that were in that board meeting approached Keith and said, well, would you like to try to have another bowl game here? Maybe we could just do this without ESPN's blessing, or maybe ESPN is the group that does the television, but they don't necessarily have to own and operate. A lot of people don't know that ESPN owns and operates, I think, 12 bowls now.
I did not know that.
They televise all of them but 4. Fox does 2 and CBS does 2. We actually happen to be a CBS Sports Network game ourselves, the Cure Bowl. So ESPN obviously carries a lot of weight in college football, as they should. They're making a great investment, and they do a lot of great things with college football, keeping it on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Throughout the year. The appetite for college football is pretty big, and thus the reason to do this and raise money through college football. That's really how we're able to.
It's unique, right? The Cure Bowl's thought process is unique
as
far as the raising money part.
It is.
So how did the group, or how did you all come to that? Because there's a million bowls. I mean, my son.
Not a million. But
it feels like it.
Actually,
sorry.
39.
Oh, there's 39 times a million.
Yeah,
is what it feels like. But I love it. But this is unique. The Cure Bowl is a unique setup. So how did you all come to that? Because it's great for business to have a bowl, but this is more than that. And how did that come about?
A great question, Ted. The group had reached out to me and said, "What do you think? Let's do a college football game." And the reason that group had done that, to get certification for a college football bowl game, you have to have somebody that's got NCAA experience. It's a part of the certification process, and I had 25 years of that. And when they initially reached out, I said, I don't even know if we would be good community partners to have a third bowl game, with 2 bowl games already going on in Central Florida. And Steve Hogan and his group, Florida Central Sports, obviously have done a great job.
Hogan's another Sigma Chi.
Absolutely. And we met with Steve, in the early going here to get his blessing. And Steve was, we're not really competing with them, different conferences than us, but Steve was a big proponent of, we need more events in the community. It's going to bring more heads and beds and feets and parks and people eating at the restaurants, and that's really what all of our jobs are when we're doing things collectively. It's the Central Florida Sports Commission so says we're all stakeholders and trying to help everybody with the economy here in Central Florida. So Steve was very welcoming there.
That's awesome.
And a former Knight.
I
was a player when I was coaching there. So if he wasn't going to agree, we might have had to run laps around the stadium or something like that.
You should make him run laps. I'd like to see that today. He's up here occasionally. He always waves at me like, you know a lot about my past, Ted, so I'm not going to come over there too
wave
often.
And keep walking
I'm going to keep walking.
Yeah.
So this all happens. They bring you in, but how does the research part, the cancer part come in?
So another good question, Ted. I'm at a Golden Knights Club meeting, and there are a lot of the board members that were there when I was there as a coach and the executive director of the Golden Knights Club that were talking about wanting to do this game. And they did a good job of setting it up. They had the cart way before the horse. They knew that every bowl had a charity partner, but they wanted this bowl to have breast cancer as its charity group because John Rhodes, one of the early guys in that group that heard that request by Keith to, about the bowl and would you like to do this, his sister Laura had just been diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. So John and Matt McLaughlin, Scott Rose, can't remember the rest of the Jeff Lagos and a bunch of guys that are at this Golden Knights Club meeting. Yes, IOA.
I went to high school with him.
There you go, Colonial.
Yeah, I did.
Right, yeah. So they have 5 ladies with bandanas on that are battling breast cancer at the time. They come over and say, "Hey, Coach, we know that you're a little lukewarm about this bowl game, but we think this would be a great idea. We know you got a lot going on. We think this would be a great idea, especially if breast cancer was going to be the benefactor." And I'm kind of nodding my head, and Susan Mikowski, who happened to be in that group, who, as you may know, works with Jennifer Thompson in the county office, commissioner's office. Susan said to me with the bandana on, "That's right, because cancer takes no holiday."
Oh.
Yeah. So that
you were not saying no at that point.
Yeah, it was tough. I didn't say anything. I really kind of nodded, and these ladies are fighting for their lives.
Right.
And I certainly was taken by that,
sure.
And that they wanted to try to do something about that. So I actually left that meeting, called Lisa, my wife.
I'm sorry. Oh, God, she's going to hate me for that.
I said, "Linda, I'm on my way home. You need me to pick up some milk?" And she goes, "Well, how'd the meeting go?" And I said, I think we might be doing a bowl game. She goes, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, this is what I think." And I told her the story about the group coming up, and I said to her, "I think if we make it about that, it would be totally different from any bowl game in the country, and that we would be doing something besides just another bowl game or a football game. Not that those aren't important; those are important, but we certainly had the passion. We've always had the passion to pour our lives into UCF and help grow that. We always looked at UCF as not a resume builder for us, but a place that we really wanted to build. And so we saw an opportunity here to do something different, and it has been. It's been great.
Did you get in the beginning? Because I feel like you're right. There's a charity attached to every bowl, and pretty much everything that we do, there's some sort of charity. But this is so focused, the Cure Bowl.
Yes.
And so, did you have to fight any kind of? Because there's a whole process you all to go. It's not like you just decide, "Hey, today we're going to have a bowl. It's going to be next year. We're going to invite people." There's an entire process that you have to go through. Many governing boards and many things that you have to do. So, did you have to convince people, "Hey, look, we're going to be called the Cure Bowl. Here's why," or were people receptive to the idea?
In the beginning, there was, some. Your business model is going to give all your money to the charity, which is tough to do. And I can, after doing it for 2 years, I can certainly tell you that it is very tough to do. And I can get into more detail on that. But I think the thing that was important in this whole thing, even though I felt like, okay, let's try to do that, I came back to the next meeting when our initial board, which wasn't really even a board yet, got together, a group of guys, and said, "God, I think if we made it about Laura and her fight and others, and there have been others, obviously, since we've come on board, unfortunately, but that's why we're doing what we're doing, raising money for cancer research, because it is devastating." So when we got together and talked about that being, I said, "Look, I'm in if we make it about that." Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, that's great, that's different. Let's talk about that." And how are we going to call it? Those were days down. But Jeff Lagos is actually the one that said, we were talking about a bowl for the Cure or whatever, and Jeff says, "Why don't we just call it the Cure Bowl?"
I love it.
And so, awesome. And let's just go down that path. Auto Nation, I've got to. I try to help them sell cars every day. They're our title sponsor, but they're the ones that really are making this thing happen.
And how did they come? And before you get to that, I want to, you've got some amazing comments here, and I know you don't have your glasses on, so you can't read. I have my contacts on. So Vic Colazzo says, "I'm proud and honored to work with this team finding a cure for cancer. is a team effort, and together we can tackle this, which is definitely a hashtag.
Yep.
Roy Reed says, Alan Gooch, Dream Builder. You have a whole bunch of people who came on and said, Coach. So I just want you to know there's a whole bunch of support there.
Appreciate that.
As you're speaking. So.
Thank you. So, what was the question?
No, we were talking about how AutoNation
Oh,
got
yes.
involved.
So AutoNation's, CEO Mike Jackson's wife Alice is a survivor, and AutoNation had been involved with cancer research and raising money for cancer research, and they're an awesome organization. Not only when we came on to talk with them about it, not only are they the title sponsor, and there's a dollar fixed amount to that to be able to get this thing on national television and move this thing forward, but they also, when we introduced them to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, said, if you guys are a nonprofit that are going to donate $150,000 a year, that was our commitment. It's the most that had ever been given by a bull at the time, and this is Edelman, our PR firm, one of the largest in the world, giving us the information that the most that had been raised by a bowl, single bowl game by a charity partner, was the Rose Bowl at one time to the American Cancer Society. And so we set our commitment to raise more money than that.
I love that
figure to let's go out and get it, try to win it the first year. We were able to do that. So our commitment on our foundation was $150,000. But Mark Cannon and Mike Jackson, they didn't grow up being the CEO of AutoNation, so they understood what a business first year was going to try to do, to make this thing happen and give away $150,000. It was going to be difficult, and we can't just do it through our bowl game. We have a golf tournament to run, a chili cook-off in the past, a bowling event, a casino night here. Yeah. The Citrus Club has been an amazing partner of ours. You've been amazing. There's just so many people. It takes an army to do this type of thing. We've got 11 strong board members and 31 advisory board members that donate their gift in kind. Holland and Knight, for example, are attorneys. They donate their time. They probably, between them and Ackerman and Foley over the years, we've had different groups that help us there from an attorney standpoint. With them is our CPA group, who used to be Averitt, Warmis, and Durkee. All of these groups donate their time to us so that we're able to make that payment to the BCRF. So it takes a group effort, and it's been amazing. But on top of all that is AutoNation. And Mike Jackson and AutoNation, like I said, Alice is a survivor. There are other executives in that group that have been survivor, and they were on board with trying to raise money for cancer research. What we did was just introduce them to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. And when we actually got started off, Ted, it was a little disappointing. We knew that we were going to be the Cure Bowl. We wanted to support a group that was going to be able to take this money and actually do something with it. Right. And so when we started checking out different organizations, it was a little disappointing. There's not a lot of money given to the research. A lot of foundations raise money for themselves rather than for their cause, and so that was disappointing.
I think people, to your point, I think people are very cognizant of that in this day and age, and social media has certainly shown a crazy light on the dirt that goes on that, and so people are very aware of where their dollars are being spent. And very much about, hey, I want it to go more to research. So they do their own research because it's all available online.
Absolutely.
Which is what you guys did.
We did. I have to admit, I think Breast Cancer Research Foundation, awesome organization, 91% of everything that they raise goes to cancer research. That's why we're behind them. And does there need to be maintenance? Absolutely. Praise all of those that are out there doing it. What we liked about Breast Cancer Research Foundation is the fact that they were targeting how to stop this thing. Because if you don't stop it from a research standpoint, then it's just going to be continuing to maintain it.
Correct.
So we liked them and had the opportunity. I met Myra Bibblewit, the CEO of BCRF, actually through her son-in-law, Matt Snyder. We were on a biking trip. A friend of mine, Alex Cook, out in Oregon, put together these bike stocks, he used to call them, and groups of investors and businessmen that would ride out in Oregon through the Cascades. And I met Matt Snyder there. I did not know Matt, but I met Matt there. We were talking about things that we do. And he said, I saw an email and you're with the Orlando Sports Foundation. Tell me a little bit about that. So I told Matt about that, and he said, yeah, but you seem a little down about it, Coach. And I said, well, a little bit, because we know that we do this bowl game, we're going to expose a foundation, and at the highest level, because college football gets a lot of eyeballs, right? And we're having a hard time finding somebody worthy, and that we felt that was going to be worthy of this attention and the money that we were going to raise for this. And he said, really? Well, maybe you need to meet my mother-in-law. And I said, okay. He said, she's the CEO of the Breast Cancer Research Foundation.
That's amazing, right?
And he said, and they give 91% of what they raise to cancer research. And I'm just listening to him, kind of nodding. And I'm, because I've heard these stories before.
Sure you have, yeah.
And I get on the phone with Sandy Breitenstein not long after that, and Sandy was the CFO of our board at the time, and also a partner at Averitt Warmus and Durkee. And Sandy picked up the phone. I said, Sandy, I'm talking to a buddy here, and he's telling me that BCRF raises 91%, or gives 91% of all their all the money that they raise to cancer research. She goes, I actually happen to be on Charity Navigator right now for another client. Let me go in there and check. And I said, exactly, I wanted you to check that out. She goes, well, that is the case.
Wow. So
I go back in, tell Matt Snyder, let's get on a plane and go meet your mother-in-law. And Myra Biblowit she's one of those ladies that just, you can't tell her no. So we found a way to work together. Kinga Lampert, husband Eddie Lampert, is very involved with AutoNation. Kinga was at a luncheon with Alice Jackson. They're both involved, obviously, with AutoNation. They were at a luncheon, and Myra got to meet them, and the rest is history. We introduced this opportunity, and Mark Jackson was all about it, and he is all in, and so was Mike Jackson, obviously.
Right.
I'm sorry, Mark Cannon, the Director of Communications, has just been great to work with. And obviously the Jacksons, both Mike and Alice, have been all in as well. So not only do they commit their title sponsorship, but
they're involved.
They also donate $1 million a year through
Wow.
the bowl game, through
That's
their
amazing.
Drive Pink campaign, which is nationwide. They spend a lot of money promoting this bowl game, and are just doing a great job of making everybody aware of the fact that BCRF gives 91% of everything they raise to cancer research.
To talk about the bowl, because that's coming up.
It is.
Right?
Yep.
So we're not that
18
far
days.
off. 18 days.
18 days.
So what happens there? So I'm not familiar with bowl process, but it's here. It's played where?
Camping World Stadium.
So December 16th.
December 16th.
Camping World Stadium.
It's a 2:30 kickoff for the game, but at noon, Andy Grammer is the artist that we've got playing pregame concert for us. We've had some great artists, but Andy is a platinum recording artist.
That's awesome.
And he has that song, Honey, I'm Good. So you got to come out and hear that live. We know our ticket sales have bumped up a little bit because of Andy Grammer's name getting out and being partnered up with us. So that is nice, and AutoNation does that as well. That isn't something the Orlando Sports Foundation has to put on.
See, they really are committed.
They are committed. They are committed, and they're committed to try to solve this thing. And they know that they're using the power and the popularity of college football to try to do that.
Which I mean, I try to follow football because my son is and I have so many friends that love it. But the fan base on college football, and of course the money that goes into college football, what a great way to utilize that money and kind of focus it and channel it into something that's going to make a difference, which is what you're doing.
Absolutely. We say it a lot, in the office. We're really a fundraiser, and a football game breaks out, because that's what we're doing. We're trying to raise money for cancer research, and we're going to do it around a football game. If you go on our website,
talk about that.
Yeah, you could www.curable.com. Go to the website. You'll be able to see some of the players that come in. We've had 2 games, and we've had 4 teams here. All of the teams have obviously had moms, sisters, grandmothers that have been affected by breast cancer, and obviously a lot of other family members that have been affected by brain tumor, cancer, period, whether it's in the lung or in the brain, the prostate.
I don't know anyone who's not been touched by that.
Exactly, and one of the things that we like best about Dr. Annette Khalid, who has received, of the 2.3 we've raised to date, and we're actually getting ready, you'll have to hear about what that check is going to look like on December 16th, but to date, it's been $2.3 million in 2 years has been raised for BCRF. And during that time, Dr. Khalid has received $645,000 of those funds.
Wow.
And so you might say, well, Coach, why does she get all of it? Well, I'm a football coach posing as a bowl guy, right? I don't know whether Dr. Khalid deserves $10 or $10 million, but BCRF has a science board that is led by Dr. Larry Norton, who's the head of research at Sloan Kettering in New York. And that's one of the things that we like. When I first met Myra and they started talking, Myra and Lisa Rissi, who is the chief operating officer at BCRF, when I first met them and they started talking about the foundation and they started talking about their science board, that's when I really got interested, because they have a group of professionals. Because Myra's not a professional either. She's a professional fundraiser and does a great job of that. But their board is the strength, I believe, behind the whole thing. They vet out their researchers. They do a great job of coordinating all the researchers that they are funding. And so we're happy that Dr. Khalid happens to be one of those as well. And that's a great story.
I think the bottom line, we're just way over time, but I love talking. We're not going to cut it off. I just love I could listen to you because here's the thing that you can't fake, and we talk about authenticity on the show, is that you have a passion for it, but not only you have a passion for it, but you have the knowledge behind it. So when somebody buys a ticket or donates or buys merchandise or anything, you all are so involved that you do know the people who are making the difference in the research. It's not just we're cutting a check to XYZ organization, and you'll tell me the name in a minute. It's that you know the people, you know the research they're doing, you know their background, you know how much money goes to the actual research. To me, that makes the world of difference and makes the Cure Bowl completely different than any other bowl organization. That's me and my little 2 seconds of talking about that. But you can't fake it, I guess is what I'm saying to you. And you can't talk about all these people and have met all these people, and you have the passion and people can feel it. It's palpable. So I think it's amazing what you all are doing. I think it's amazing what you've done in such a short period of time too. I mean, Orlando really the community in general has embraced the Cure Bowl, and the world has embraced it because you have these people who really believe in what you're doing, obviously. And you're making a difference. We're making a difference here, and it started grassroots here in Orlando. And that's the other thing that I want to encourage people who are here. And you think about all the bowls. There's 2 other ones, right? We still have 2.
There are.
But this is our bowl. This is the one that we created it. You all created it, and I think that's amazing. So
appreciate it.
Oh my God, thank you for coming on. I just think it's amazing what you guys are doing. We're going to give all of the URLs and the hashtags and everything else so that you can get involved. You can purchase tickets for the December 16th game. We don't know who's playing yet, right?
We don't know who's playing, but it's going to be 2 teams that are going to be here, and they all understand what we're about. One thing that I think would be great for everybody to understand the community. One, ESPN wanted to do a 3rd bowl game because it's Orlando. It's a great spot. But with this cause, we get a lot of teams that are recruiting us to want to come and play. They've got players or coaches. In fact, I just spoke to an athletic director today. Their offensive line coach is undergoing brain cancer, to have a tumor that in the brain being removed. Still wants to would love to come to this game. So there's a lot of interest, and unfortunately it is in Orlando, but what we're doing, everybody gets that and has really rallied up behind it. So please help us bring teams together to find a cure for cancer, because we can tackle this, Vic Colazzo.
That's it. We can tackle this. Exactly. That's our hashtag. Yeah. We're going to post that everywhere.
Yeah, and guys like Ted and Vic out there in the community, it takes an army of people to get this done. And so every time you buy a ticket or you attend an event of ours, that money is going to Dr. Khalid's research, which is happening right here in Central Florida at the UCF College of Medicine in her lab. And they being BCRF, very excited about her. They think that she's a rock star when it comes to the researchers that they do fund. So it's great stuff, great stuff.
So thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to give you all the information again when we repost. Alan, it was such a pleasure. Thank you. Oh my God, I got chills a couple of times when you were talking, because I just think what you're doing and what the team is doing is just so important. So we love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. I'll keep you updated and we'll post all the information. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great one. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.